Let's talk about Baylor. This
Let's
is an
do it.
interesting. This is an interesting team because I think the expectations were a lot higher last year. Um, and I think like a bowl game is the expectation. Now, a couple years ago, Dave Aranda's done a fantastic job with this program. There's no doubt about that. He's
Absolutely.
one of the better coaches in college football, uh, based on like what he does with the talent that he has. But what are your thoughts on this team going into 2023?
So, like you said last year, they were very disappointing, right? 6-7. They finished on a 4-game losing streak, including that bowl game. Uh, Lost some brutally close games, to BYU, West Virginia, and even TCU. Should not have lost those games. Now BYU comes in as a conference foe, and they actually don't have to play them this year, which is, I guess, good for Baylor. But I'm expecting this team to get better, right? The over under of 7 wins. I'm gonna take the over, right? Because this is a play for me. I believe in.
Whoa!
Yep,
Right off the bat.
I know. I believe in Dave Aranda. I think 7 is a very good push line, and I think the upside there is for 8 to 9, even 10 wins with this team. I think this is a very talented roster. I think, right, 2 years ago they hit Genie in a bottle, and they were awesome, right? And Dave Aranda, there's a ton of credit for that. Last year they had too high expectations for that team. I think Blake Shapen's a really good quarterback. His footwork's improving, right? His arm is still good. He's learning what throws he can and can't make in terms of when to do it. He put on 15 pounds this offseason, which is awesome. And then even behind him, if he goes down Sawyer Robinson, you got get that insurance. Staff loves him, right? He's not going to start, but he's a great second option behind him. I love that the transfers they brought in, right? Keytron Jackson from Arkansas is going to be one of their top wide receivers, and the Barrington brothers, or Clark and Campbell Barrington on the offensive line, along with, right, the offensive line coach Jeff Grimes, who's an elite offensive line coach, comes in from BYU, immediately upgrades the floor of that room. And then, they got some transfer on defense, at linebacker, even a defensive line. So I think this is a really interesting team. I'm going to take the over.
Interesting, because look, I, I do like your reasoning, and I love Dave Aranda. When I looked at this, I did have a slight lean under to start, which now has shifted to a very neutral because of the status that week 2, right, is our guy over in Utah going to be healthy, right?
Yep.
That's what it kind of like. So I chalked that one up as a loss. I just think like, yeah, they disappointed last year. I think they lost a lot of snaps. I know that Jeff Grimes is an offensive line guy, but right, we've seen a lot of turnover on rosters, like at the offensive line. Even if you have a great offensive line coach, it sometimes doesn't work, right? Just ask Mario Cristobal, right? It happens sometimes. Now, the benefit of that, though, is he has already coached / recruited the Barrington brothers or cousins, whatever they are. I don't know what they are actually, but they are related. Fun fact. So I do think there's just too many question marks for me to really send in the over right there. I do think like look, they defensively, right? I think in the past, I think they like to run a lot of press man, but they didn't really get to do a whole lot of that last year. So I do like the fact that they added some length at cornerback, maybe some physicality there, especially Dunson at corner. And I like the fact that Bryson Jackson switched over to the star position. But I think Siaki Ika is that's a huge loss. Like that is a
Yeah.
huge loss. If you want to like talk about like why their run defense was as good as it wasn't like that good, right? But it was top 50. I mean, a lot of it had to do with him clogging up holes there. And there's a lot of good rushing attacks in the Big 12 this year, especially on this schedule that I'm looking at right here. Right. I mean, I'm just gonna look at Texas Tech. I'm gonna look at UCF. I'm gonna look at Texas. I'm gonna look at Utah. I'm gonna look at TCU. I'm gonna look at Kansas State. Like, there's a lot of good rushing attacks here. So if they decline at all and Blake Shapen does not take a step forward, then I could see this. I could see this going under. It's not a play for me at all, especially with the status of Cam Rising over there in Utah. But look, I like Jeff Grimes. I love Dave Aranda. I love Dave Aranda. This was a sleeper team for me last year. I did in fact sprinkle them to win the Big 12 last year to a disappointment. But think about it this way though. They had a lot of like really close games that they just couldn't finish. They just couldn't finish those games.
Exactly. And they still won 6 games. in the
Yeah,
regular season.
yeah, and I think this is a quote unquote more favorable schedule for maybe some of your other Big 12 teams that did not get such a great job, but uh, I there's a lot of winnable games on this schedule, so I could see it going over. That's why again it's not a play for me. But again, all you Baylor fans out there, you need to love Dave Aranda. You need to love him, right? For me, because gosh, that dude's awesome. That dude is awesome. Anything else?
Yeah, so defensively is this is where this is why I'm taking the over. Yes, I
Okay.
believe in Blake Shapen. I think the offense is going to improve for sure, but to be honest, like the defense is where they're going to make their money at. That's where the Big 12 is becoming a defensive conference. Like, right, it used to be like those 2010s. It was the high flying spread offenses. Nobody played like a defense. Now physicality, running, and stopping the run and defense is where it's at right now. I think they got a new defense coordinator, right? Matt Powledge, right? Comes over from Oregon, was in Waco, right, for 2021 when they had that really successful year under Dave Aranda. And then I think they just couldn't, like you said, they wanted to play press man and they couldn't do it. Now they've actually had a couple recruiting classes of Dave Aranda. He's had a couple years to develop those guys and defensively develop his scheme, and I think they're ready to play it. And I think they're going to be really, really physical. I think they had an awesome summer camp. This is why I love Dave Aranda. They practiced outside all summer. In Baylor, in Waco, Texas, they practiced outside all summer. I mean, that is awesome. This is gonna be a tough group. Defensive line, am I worried about it? A little bit. Right, they're gonna rely on like a community college guy, and they're gonna rely on some guys that maybe aren't quite ready. All right, on the depth. That's what I'm more worried about. And they did have Jackie Marshall towards ACL. It was a good depth piece for him. So that's tough. They got some good defense. Mike Smith from from Liberty, transfers in at linebacker. He's been awesome. Right, the DBs last year they lost a bunch of them, but they had no depth. This year they gotten a bunch of some transfers that they like, or at least a transfer from Miami that they like, Isaiah Dunson, and they actually have athletes. Right, Bobby Devin is a stud. He's a really, really good athlete. Like Devin Lemire, obviously, we talked about Corey Gordon, a guy they're super, super high on. He's a second-year guy, redshirt last year. I mean, I just think the versatility on the back end, not to mention Bryson Jackson, right? Their seventh-year player that can play anywhere. He's going to play star for him, probably going to blitz. I think the options that Dave Aranda and the staff has on defensive side is gonna help them. Gets me excited.
Yeah, I still have some questions on defense, but that's different than holes, right? Questions are different than holes.
Yeah.
And I do think if Jarrell Boykins hits his ceiling, like that, that front seven could look a lot better, right? Like if those transfers fit in there and they work in that front seven, like that could be a dangerous team. So I'm not gonna hate you for that pick at
Mm-hmm.
all.